Welcome back, beautiful souls. I'm Lyra Vega, and this is the biggest week of the year. On Wednesday, a total solar eclipse lands at 20 degrees of Leo. Eclipses do not nudge. They close doors, they open others, and they set the story for the next 6 months of your life. The day before, Mars moves into Cancer, and everyone gets a little more sensitive, a little more protective. Leo, this one is yours. But every single sign has a door about to move. Let's read the sky, sign by sign. Aries. The eclipse on Wednesday lands in your zone of romance, creativity, and joy, which makes this one of the most personal eclipses you will get all year. Something in your creative life or your love life reaches a turning point. A project you have been circling finally demands to be born, or a relationship shifts into a completely new shape. Do not force the direction. Eclipse energy works best when you let it show you what it already decided. On Tuesday, Mars, your ruling planet, moves into Cancer and into your home zone until late September. Your fire moves indoors, which is unusual for you. Expect more energy for family matters, renovations, and territory, and a shorter fuse when your space is invaded. In love, Venus is still in Libra, warming your relationship zone, so even a difficult conversation lands softly this week. Take advantage of that on Thursday or Friday, after the eclipse dust settles. Money and career stay quiet on purpose. Your alert: do not make an irreversible announcement on Wednesday itself. Wait 48 hours, then decide. And your advice, Aries: something wants to be created through you this week. Clear the table and let it. Taurus. The eclipse lands at the foundation of your chart, in your home and family zone, which is the deepest, quietest part of the wheel. Over the next 6 months, where you live, who you live with, or how you relate to your family reaches a turning point. If you have been outgrowing a house, a city, or an old family role, the eclipse starts the paperwork. It rarely happens overnight, so watch for the first domino this week, rather than the whole chain. On Tuesday, Mars enters Cancer and lights up your communication zone until late September. Your words get more emotional and more protective, which can be beautiful in a heartfelt conversation and dangerous in a text message. Read twice, send once. In love, Venus in Libra keeps your daily routine pleasant and makes a work connection genuinely warm. Money stays steady, and Wednesday is not the day for big purchases. Your alert: your body will feel this eclipse before your mind does. If you are exhausted on Wednesday, that is data, not weakness. And your advice, Taurus: let the ground shift a little. You are the one sign who can rebuild on new soil. Gemini. The eclipse fires directly into your communication zone, and for you, that is not a small house. Over the next 6 months, how you speak, write, teach, post, or sell goes through a real transformation. Something you have been saying for years stops being true, and something you have been afraid to say starts coming out. If you have been sitting on a channel, a book, a newsletter, or a hard conversation, Wednesday is the starting gun. With Mercury also in Leo right now, your voice has extra heat behind it all week. On Tuesday, Mars enters Cancer and moves into your money zone until late September, which brings more drive to earn and also more emotional spending. Notice the difference between buying comfort and buying security. In love, Venus in Libra keeps your romance zone glowing. This is still one of your best flirting windows of the year, eclipse or not. Your alert: with so much energy in your words, the temptation is to over-explain. Say the true thing once. And your advice, Gemini? the sentence you have been rehearsing for years, this is the week it finally gets said. Cancer. Two things happen for you this week, and they are both about worth. On Tuesday, Mars enters your sign for the first time in 2 years and stays until late September. Your energy comes back, your instincts sharpen, and your patience for being taken for granted disappears. Mars in Cancer is not loud, but it is stubborn, and this version of you finally acts on what you have been quietly feeling. Then on Wednesday, the eclipse lands in your money and self-worth zone. Over 6 months, how you earn, what you charge, and what you believe you deserve gets restructured. A source of income may end so a better one can begin. That sounds scary, and it usually turns out to be the raise you would never have asked for. In love, Venus in Libra keeps home warm and makes family conversations easier than usual. You're alert. With Mars in your sign, your reactions arrive faster than your reasoning this month. Give yourself one night before responding to anything that stings. And your advice, Cancer: you are not asking for too much. You have been asking for too little. Leo. This is your eclipse. On Wednesday, a total solar eclipse lands at 20 degrees of your sign. And eclipses in your own sign are the rarest, most personal reset the sky offers. They arrive roughly every 9 years. Whatever version of you walked into this year does not walk out of it. Some of you will change how you look. Some will change what you do. Some will finally stop performing a role you outgrew years ago. It will not all happen Wednesday. It starts Wednesday. What you can do is cooperate. Name out loud who you are becoming, and stop defending who you were. On Tuesday, Mars enters Cancer and your rest zone, which is the sky quietly telling you to conserve energy while the big change works underneath. Do not schedule your whole life this week. In love, Venus in Libra makes conversations warm and generous, and someone tells you the truth about how they see you. Believe them. You're alert. Eclipse energy in your sign feels like exposure. That is not danger. That is light. And your advice, Leo? Let the old version go with gratitude. The sky is making room, not taking away. Virgo. The eclipse happens in the most private room of your chart, the house of rest, endings, and the subconscious, which for you means the most important thing this week is invisible from the outside. Something ends internally, a fear you have carried since childhood, a guilt you never named, a story about not being enough. 6 months from now, you will notice it stopped running your decisions. Give this week silence and sleep, because that is where the work happens. Your birthday season is only 2 weeks away, and this eclipse is clearing the room before you walk into it. On Tuesday, Mars enters Cancer and your friendship zone until late September. You become more protective of your people, and you may also finally leave a group that stopped feeling like yours. In love, Venus in Libra continues in your money zone, so a partner or client shows up generously. You're alert. Do not start the big project this week. Rest is the assignment, and you are terrible at it. And your advice, Virgo: what leaves quietly this week was never yours to carry. We are halfway through the zodiac, and the eclipse is not done with us yet. Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, your readings are next, and one of you is about to get career news you did not schedule. Stay with me. Libra. The eclipse lands in your zone of friendships, networks, and the future, which is exactly where big change is most useful. Over the next 6 months, your circle reorganizes. Someone becomes central, someone drifts, and a group or community either finds you or releases you. If you have felt like you outgrew a room you used to love, this is the sky making it official. And being surrounded by the right people changes everything else in your life. On Tuesday, Mars enters Cancer and moves to the top of your chart until late September. Professional drive goes up, but so does sensitivity to criticism. Use the ambition, ignore the sting. In love, Venus is still home in your own sign until September 10th, which keeps you magnetic all week. Even with eclipse pressure around you, romance stays kind. This combination is rare. The world is shaking, and your love life is calm. Money and career move forward if you ask for what you want after Thursday. Your alert. Do not try to save a friendship on Wednesday. Let it show you what it is. And your advice, Libra? Your people are being chosen for you this week. Scorpio. The eclipse lands at the very top of your chart, in your career and public reputation zone, which is the loudest possible place for it. Over the next 6 months, your professional life reaches a turning point. A role ends, a title changes, a company shifts, or you finally step into the position you have been circling for years. Eclipses at the top of the chart are famous for sudden career news, so if something moves fast this week, it is on schedule. Do not resist the speed. On Tuesday, Mars enters Cancer and your zone of travel, study, and meaning until late September, which gives you a strong appetite for something bigger than your routine. A trip, a course, or a belief worth defending. In love, Venus in Libra keeps romance quiet and private. And this week, that is a mercy. Let your relationship be the calm room. Your alert, you will be watched more than usual this week. Handle the small things carefully, because the small things are visible. And your advice, Scorpio? When the door opens on Wednesday, walk through before you feel ready. Sagittarius. The eclipse fires into your 9th house of travel, study, publishing, and belief, which is the most Sagittarius corner of the sky. Over the next 6 months, your worldview changes. A trip you take, a course you start, a person from a different background, or a belief you finally outgrow, rewrites how you see everything. If you have been feeling too small for your own life, this is the sky opening the map. Something you thought was settled about the world gets a question mark. And that question mark is the gift. On Tuesday, Mars enters Cancer and your zone of shared resources until late September. Energy goes into debts, taxes, joint accounts, and intimacy. Handle the paperwork and handle the honesty. In love, Venus in Libra keeps your social life warm, so romance still comes through friends and gatherings this week. Money asks for care around anything shared. Your alert, do not book anything expensive on Wednesday itself. Wait 2 days and the same plan will be cheaper and clearer. And your advice, Sagittarius, let the eclipse expand you. Your job is to say yes and keep the receipts. Capricorn. The eclipse lands in your 8th house, the most transformative and least comfortable house in the wheel, the one that rules shared money, intimacy, debt, and endings. Over the next 6 months, a financial entanglement, an inheritance matter, a loan, or a deep emotional bond reaches its turning point. Something gets settled, closed, or renegotiated for good. This house is where you find out what you are actually holding and what has been holding you. It rarely feels light, and it almost always leaves you freer. On Tuesday, Mars enters Cancer and your partnership zone until late September, which raises the temperature in your closest relationships. More passion, more friction, and less patience for imbalance. Say the thing calmly before it says itself loudly. In love, Venus in Libra keeps your public life attractive, so a relationship may go official or become visible this week. Your alert, Do not sign a financial agreement on Wednesday. Read it Wednesday, sign it Friday. And your advice, Capricorn, what you released this week was interest you were paying on an old decision. Aquarius. The eclipse lands in your relationship zone, directly opposite your sign, which makes this one of the most significant eclipses of your entire year. Over the next 6 months, a partnership reaches its defining moment. A commitment deepens into something formal, or a relationship that has been running on old rules reaches its ending. Business partnerships count too. Whatever happens, it will not feel like your decision alone, and that is the lesson. This house is about the other person having a vote. On Tuesday, Mars enters Cancer and your zone of daily work and health until late September. So your routine gains drive and also friction. Pace yourself and watch your temper with coworkers. In love, Venus in Libra expands your world through travel and new people, which is a beautiful counterweight to the eclipse pressure. Even if something closes, something wider opens the same month. Your alert: do not issue an ultimatum on Wednesday. Ask a real question instead. And your advice, Aquarius? Let the relationship tell you the truth. Pisces. The eclipse lands in your 6th house of work, health, and daily routine, which sounds ordinary and is not. Over the next 6 months, how you spend your days gets restructured. A job may change, a health habit finally sticks, or a routine that has been quietly draining you comes to an end. This is the house of small things done repeatedly, and small things done repeatedly are what your life is actually made of. Watch what breaks this week, because it will show you what you were tolerating. On Tuesday, Mars enters Cancer and your romance and creativity zone until late September, which brings warmth, passion, and a real creative surge. For a water sign, Mars in Cancer feels like home. So this is one of your stronger months for making something and for loving out loud. In love, Venus in Libra deepens intimacy and makes a shared financial arrangement fairer. Your alert: with a lunar eclipse in your own sign arriving at the end of the month, this week is the warm-up, not the main event. Pace yourself. And your advice, Pisces? Change one daily thing and let it change everything else slowly.
And that was the biggest week of the year, beautiful souls. Tell me your sign in the comments and what door just moved for you. I read every single one. If Lyra earned it, subscribe and tap the bell, because the eclipse portal stays open for 2 more weeks, and it closes with a lunar eclipse in Pisces at the end of the month. We will read it together right here on Sunday. Until then, eyes on the stars, feet on the ground.